There is a huge existential problem facing RPGs like Dungeons and Dragons right now, and it has the potential to completely undermine the entire role-playing game hobby, rendering all our books and games utterly worthless and making it impossible for us to find anymore. Seriously, this is more dangerous to the industry than the infamous D&D OGL scandal, any amount of price changes, and even the digitization of D&D. And look, I know how that sounds, but I am deadly serious. This is not an exaggeration. RPGs really are facing a bleak future unless something changes. And over the next few years, we might be left with only official content from Wizards of the Coast and nothing else to play with at our tables. If that ain't a crisis, then I don't know what is. We right now are at the very beginning of something truly terrifying and disruptive. Like when you start discovering post-it notes from a stranger all over your house. Yeah, that was a bad weekend. And in response to this upcoming nightmare, the biggest online RPG bookstore, DriveThruRPG, and the biggest virtual tabletop platform on the internet, Roll20, have done the unthinkable and announced that they are banning potentially thousands of books. Now, if you've been on the internet at all in the last year, then you'll have been inundated with hundreds of posts showing pictures of imaginary people with too many fingers, audio of famous figures getting obsessed with the latest video game, and videos showing Breaking Bad, but in France, presumably featuring a Walter White also with too many fingers. And this new flood of strange, bizarre, and exotic content is all thanks to the miraculous new world of artificial intelligence. Pictures, videos, voices, art, all created by robots. And for some reason, Arthur C. Clarke never warned us about this particularly annoying aspect of our circuit-driven friends. Even he did not have the foresight to see such depravity. Philip K. Dick might have, though. And I think it's fair to say that while some of these new AI-created things are pretty cool, AI has mostly resulted in a lot of very samey, very boring content. Especially now that the initial novelty of, oh wow, a computer did that? Is starting to wear off, and it has started to become a pretty major problem for RPGs. That's right, the Iron Man are coming for role-playing. You see, a lot of RPG content that would normally be created by, well, creatives has started to get replaced by AI. Trying to find pictures of your latest French-accented NPC? Well, I hope you like AI-generated art because they have saturated all of Google Images. Want to buy some third-party content for D&D or insert favorite RPG here? Well, first you have to wade through hundreds of terrible chat prompted lists of nonsensical NPCs and lists of gobbledygook items first, as well as stuff like this. No, I am no Luddite. AI has utility for sure. Personally, I can't draw. Well, I mean, unless you like stick figures. As such, for me, AI generated art is pretty cool. It feels pretty magical. It allows me to input a prompt into an AI art generator and in just a few moments get a picture that is kinda vaguely what I want. But it looks far better than anything I could achieve with my own, inbuilt talent and practice or whatever. I really am bad at art. But perhaps AI has reduced the barrier to entry for creation to an irresponsibly low bar. Anytime you let me get into art, it's probably a mistake. Anyone can type a prompt into a chatbot like ChatGPT. Maybe writing a prompt like, I don't know, write an erotic Dungeons and Discourse adventure module, and then have the bot churn out a staggeringly awful adventure where adventurers deal with a truly terrifying but perhaps erotically charged, sorry, I cannot fulfill this request as it goes against basic ethical principles and morals. As an AI language model, I cannot create content that would violate both the laws of gods and man. Speaking of which, don't forget to buy your Dungeons and Discourse adventure module in the link below. And this is all fine and good if you want to have a bit of fun or homebrew something for your own game, but it's not so great whenever this content is being sold for real money on legitimate websites like DriveThruRPG. Because while anyone can write bad books, and let me tell you, there's a lot of terribly written RPG books out there that do not bear the mark of the machine, humans simply cannot compete with AI in terms of scale. AI can produce so much more content content in the time that it takes a flesh and blood human to prepare their bottle of ink for some new life drawing, or dip their quill in their naked subject, or the other way around, meaning that AI sludge and spam is just too overwhelming for humanity. It's already extremely hard to find good RPG content on platforms like DM's Guild, DriveThruRPG, and Wargamers Vault. Sure, there's some charts on the first page that tell you what the best sellers are, but I mean, are you gonna really click anywhere else on that website to find anything else? Discoverability is a huge issue for platforms like those as it is right now, especially for those creators who aren't already established with an audience and fan base. And AI spam is already beginning to overwhelm all of these online platforms that are already extremely saturated with content. Yeah, pretty bad. Then back in March, One Bookshelf, aka the owners of DriveThruRPG and Roll20, dipped their toe into regulating AI content on their platforms. Specifically, AI art that's created by programs like Midjourney. They did this mostly in response to the sudden mass proliferation of AI art that appeared on their platform, but also because of a push from the broader creative side of the RPG industry, especially a lot of artists who, you might not be surprised, are worried about the future of their jobs. Artists have been pretty vocal in their dislike for AI generated art as a general group, but this regulation by One Bookshelf was just a little bit of a tester. It didn't go very far at all. Their policy was basically that all partners, i.e. publishing companies like Paizo and Wizards of the Coast, etc., could set their own AI policies when it came to AI art on their third-party products. And this got a lot of criticism from the community. A lot of people thought that it didn't go far enough. In practice, what it meant was that AI art was banned for most third-party content on the platform, except for third-party content that was created specifically for Dungeons and Dragons. You see, interestingly, while most companies like Paizo were happy to ban AI art in products for their games, the only company that really wasn't was Wizards of the Coast. Surprise, surprise. In fact, as far as I'm aware, Wizards of the Coast are the only major RPG company that currently do not have an AI policy at all. Presumably because they are currently looking into the utility of AI for themselves, as leaks earlier this year suggested. Yeah, remember how back in January it leaked that Wizards were looking into replacing DMs with AI on their digital platforms? And Wizards were like, no, we're not gonna do that. Well, it does make a bit of sense that they go quiet on banning AI for D&D if those leaks were in actuality true, and Wizards were just lying in their response. Something which, honestly, I wouldn't put past them. After all, they have no principle that outweighs the desire of shareholder profit. However, now things have moved forward, and One Bookshelf have updated their AI art policy to include a brand new segment. A segment specifically on AI-driven RPG content that has been written by AI language generators. And they've taken a far stronger line on these. Unlike AI-generated art, books written by AI are now totally banned on their platforms going forward. Their new statement says that as of July 31st, 2023, they will no longer accept commercial content primarily written by AI language generators. Full stop. They're not leaving it up to partners, they're taking a firm line. And this is potentially banning hundreds to thousands of AI written books. So then, will this policy get the creative celebrating? Well, if it does, I think that that will be more of a side benefit for One Bookshelf, because let's be honest, the real actual reason they have gone so draconian on AI written books is because AI is eventually going to kill their entire business simply by overwhelming them with a tidal wave of low effort AI spam books, rendering their platforms entirely unusable, because consumers will no longer want to buy anything new from unknown creators, because those consumers will come to assume that most RPG RPG content is the work of AI Dribble, and eventually they'll be right to think that too. Magazines, books, RPGs, these primarily written mediums are all going to be uniquely hurt by AI in the future. And AI is going to make it extremely hard for creatives in these industries to break into. Industries that are already notoriously hard for creatives to break into. I mean, the impact is already being felt. For example, back in February, the sci-fi magazine Clarkworld was forced to stop accepting new submissions from writers after they were overwhelmed by AI-generated stories. Clarkworld received 700 legitimate submissions and 500 machine ones, and that proportion continued to grow like the monsters in Evolution before they finally halted submissions entirely. Really, the future of online storefronts like DriveThruRPG, DM's Guild, and even D&D Beyond is going to be all about curating, detecting, and ultimately eliminating AI-driven spam. Oh boy. So while I do believe that a clear policy like this one from One Bookshelf is needed, I am, however, worried that it's going to be impossible for them to enforce. Because, as far as I'm aware, there's just no way for them to detect whether content is written by a person or a Cylon. They don't have that detector thingy that Gaius Baltar uses. I mean, their current plan to detect AI-written books is to just literally ask publishers on their platform whether or not the content that they're selling is written by an AI or not. That's it. That's their plan. One Bookshelf, I guess, just hope that the writer equivalent of that sundial guy from Hercules is gonna be honest with them. And to be frank, I don't think that that's going to work. The honor system has a few failure points when it comes to trying to catch dishonest actors, in my experience. No, rather than prevent AI-written books from actually getting onto the platform, ultimately, I suspect the main use of this policy will be used to justify getting rid of AI content after it's already on the platform, but has been reported by users, maybe, as being AI written. More like a band-aid rather than a piece of armor, right? But if that's the main purpose of this policy, then it means that AI content will have to have been up on the platform already, spamming the place up first. I mean, it's kind of depressing. Like, seriously, I thought robots were meant to make it so that instead of us all having to do jobs like inputting numbers into spreadsheets, we could have infinite leisure time drawing pictures and writing poetry. But instead, AI is drawing pictures and writing poetry, and we're all being forced into inputting numbers into a spreadsheet. Something went wrong somewhere. Of course, this entire video was produced in AI. Psych, I wouldn't know what prompt to use. But if you do want to help me keep individually, humanly creating this content, then check out my Patreon at patreon.com/Discourse Miniatures for exclusive video streams and extremely forbidden Discord rooms. And a huge thanks to my patrons, especially Sonic Bread, CryptoKev, Mistress RB, Novani, and Travis Hunter. Really appreciate it, guys, and I'll catch y'all next time. Bye-bye.